Why did he say that? He was like, yo, if you check out the first 80 chapters of Dream of the Red Chamber, you'll see all these clues and foreshadowings, right? It's got this huge, complex structure. How's it all gonna wrap up? I'm telling you, even Chao Shuoqin himself couldn't wrap it up, he couldn't finish it. And you know what? When you really think about it, it totally makes sense, man. When we read those first 80 chapters, we get those vibes. So many hints, so much suspense. The tangled relationships between the characters, where's it all gonna lead? You can't even picture it. And then he was like, but yo, in the end, Gao E finished this book. And no matter how many flaws there are, we got to read the whole Dream of the Red Chamber. That's a major accomplishment, man. So, let's dive into the history of Redology. The first Redologist came onto the scene just as the novel was starting to gain popularity. Who was this trailblazer? None other than Zhiyan Zhai. He was the one who added his 2 cents to Dream of the Red Chamber. Back in the day, Dream was passed around quietly among Chao Shuoqin's family and friends. And guess what? Even back then, the book already had Zhiyan Zhai's notes and comments. So, the original title of the book was pretty lengthy. It was called Zhiyan Zhai's Reevaluation of the Stone Dream, with Zhiyan Zhai's name right there in the title. Zhiyan Zhai, who's that? It's a big question in the world of Redology, and even after a bunch of digging, there's still no clear answer. So, here's the scoop, there are 3 main theories floating around. One says Zhiyan Zhai was Chao Shuoqin's buddy. Another suggests Zhiyan was actually Chao Shuoqin's second wife, Lu Huilin. And then there's the theory that Zhiyan was Chao Shuoqin's pops, Gao E. According to this last theory, while Chao Shuoqin was penning Dream of the Red Chamber, his old man would read a bit, give some pointers, and jot down notes. Zhiyan liked to call himself old and decrepit in his notes, which was a humble way for old-school scholars in ancient China to talk about themselves. But hey, even with all this back and forth, the exact identity of Zhiyan Zhai isn't the main deal. What really matters is that he was the first Redologist, and Redology started popping off right when Dream of the Red Chamber hit the scene, leading to the rise of the commentary school. The commentary school's discussions about Dream of the Red Chamber aren't just about analyzing the text or finding hidden meanings. It's more about reading a section, sharing your own thoughts, and uncovering things that aren't explicitly stated in the book, right? The commentary school is all about this kind of interpretation, and they've made some pretty significant achievements. In Chinese literary criticism, commenting on literary works is a long-standing tradition. It's different from Western literary theory, which has a whole set of theoretical frameworks. Chinese critics mainly focus on discussing the works themselves, right? For instance, Renjian Siwa, written by Wang Guowei, offers commentary on poetry, comparing the strengths and weaknesses of different poets and their works, right? Sanglong Shihua and others are also examples of this kind of commentary. The commentary school has made quite substantial contributions. If you're interested, you should check out the 3 Masters commentary on Dream of the Red Chamber published by Shanghai Ancient Books Publishing House. It compiles the commentary of the 3 most important figures in the commentary school. So when you flip through this book, you'll find the commentary of the 3 masters alongside the main text, and there's also a general commentary at the end. This book is definitely worth collecting and reading, don't you think? Our connection with Dream of the Red Chamber can take many forms, and we can spend a lifetime enjoying it, can't we? For instance, you could dig into how they make that xiaoxiang dish. I mean, when Granny Lu tucks into that eggplant, it's like, mind-blowingly delicious. How can eggplant taste that good? If it's that tasty, I'd give up growing anything else and just grow eggplants. Then Wang Shifeng spills the beans on how they make chiaxiang, the whole process, and Granny Lu is like, wait, you need that many chickens just for one eggplant dish? It's fascinating to delve into how it's made. You could also geek out on the poetry and literary stuff in Dream, and there are folks who are totally into that. Sure, there's this guy Wang Guowei who wrote a critical review of The Dream of the Red Chamber. But he's kind of a maverick, not fitting into the usual literary or historical studies of The Dream of the Red Chamber. He's more into the philosophical side of things. Wang Guowei's take on Dream is all about the ideas of this German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer also dabbled in Buddhism, so you can see some Buddhist influences in his philosophy. Wang Guowei was a big fan of Schopenhauer and used his ideas to analyze Dream. It's the only time I've seen someone take a philosophical approach to the book. So, Wang Guowei doesn't really fit into the traditional or modern Redology camps, but his work is pretty important, so I've included it here. The book is called A Critical Review of the Dream of the Red Chamber, and it came out in 1904. So, when we talk about the Suoyin school, we're talking about these two folks who wrote a book called A Key to the Red Chamber Dream in 1916, Wang Mengruan and Shen. This Suoyin thing is all about discovering analogies from the first chapter right up to the 120th chapter, exposing palace secrets chapter by chapter, which is pretty darn fascinating. Even though we don't really approve of snooping into the palace's secrets, it's still pretty interesting to see how they went about it. Alright, so Cai Yuanpei was the one who did the Suoyin of Dream of the Red Chamber. Who is Cai Yuanpei, you ask? Well, let's see how he fits into the world of Dream. Let's check out what Mr. Lu Xun had to say. In his Selected Essays of Lu Xun, there's a part where he's like, as for who the author and the sequel are, let's not get into that right now. It's still up for debate, you know? But what about this Ming Yi thing? What's that all about? It's all about the main theme or idea of Dream. That's what Ming Yi means. The thing about the novel's theme is that it changes depending on who's looking at it. Confucian scholars see the Book of Changes, Taoist scholars see some scandalous stuff, literati see romance, and revolutionaries see rebellion. And who's this revolutionary? That's Cai Yuanpei. Lu Xun was onto something, because Cai Yuanpei's main idea in the book he wrote about studying Dream is that Dream of the Red Chamber is what? It's a novel about kicking out the Qing dynasty and bringing back the Ming dynasty. Cai Yuanpei was part of the whole movement to overthrow the Qing dynasty, right? So, he's known as a revolutionary. In the eyes of a revolutionary, what's Dream all about? It's about kicking out the Qing dynasty and bringing back the Ming dynasty. And then you've got the gossip mongers who see it as some kind of secret history of the palace. That's the Suoyin school for you. We just talked about, 1921 is a watershed, marking the birth of the new Redology. The new Redology is the textual research of the Red Chamber, with three important figures, Hu Shi, Yu Pingbo, and Zhou Ruchang. In 1953, Zhou Ruchang published new evidence of the Red Chamber Dream, which quickly spread to Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the United States outside the mainland. Then, Mr. Hu Shi in the United States read this book and was very excited. Another great textual researcher has emerged. He did what Yu Pingbo had not been able to do, so Zhou Ruchang's status was very high, right? Now we also know that he is an expert on Dream. But things later changed. In 1954, the mainland China began to criticize Yu Pingbo, initiated by two minor figures, one named Li Zifan and the other named Lan Ling. The two collaborated on a paper to debate with Mr. Yu Pingbo, and many journals refused to publish this article because it challenged academic authority. Later, they talked to their alma mater, Shandong University, and the university journal called Wen Shizi published their article. This incident later alarmed our chairman Mao Zedong, who wrote a lengthy commentary criticizing the suppression of minor figures by the elders. He said this was the first serious challenge to the reactionary academic authority of the bourgeoisie. Redology has arrived in textual research, also known as idealism in Husserl's view. When he saw the articles of the two young people, he was very happy and wrote a severe criticism. So, the third stage of mainland China came. The third stage of Redology is called class analysis Redology. Today, we should not simply judge this class analysis of Redology from an ideological perspective. In fact, the achievements of this third stage are quite significant. Mao Zedong advocated studying Dream of the Red Chamber in this way. He asked Su Shiyu, his army general, "Have you also read the Dream of the Red Chamber?" Su Shiyu replied that following the chairman's teachings, "I have read it once." How can once be enough? You need to read it 5 times to have the right to speak. The real meanings are hidden, but exuded through Jia Yukan. So there are 2 characters, one called Zhen Xian and the other called Jia Yutsuan. Political struggles do not appear as such. The matters of love are a cover, used to conceal political struggles. What is meant by matters of love? Love affairs. In Dream of the Red Chamber, all the talk about love is a cover. What is it used to conceal? Political struggles. He was teaching Su Shiyu how to read Dream of the Red Chamber. Because Su Shiyu had complained before, the chairman asked him to read Dream. He had to read it, and after reading it once, he felt it was not good. He asked, "Why did the chairman ask me to read this kind of book? It's about love affairs, which are the least compatible with me, Su Shiyu, in terms of character." He didn't understand, so he complained, saying, "Why did the chairman ask me to read this kind of book about love affairs?" When Mao Zedong heard about it, he told him that it was a cover, and love affairs are a cover. So, this is what we call the third stage, class analysis Redology. The entire history of Redology consists of 3 major stages, and so far, there is no 4th stage. Apart from subtextual research Redology, textual research Redology, and class analysis Redology, what other types of Redology are there?